We are good to go, Miss Jackie.
Great. Well, welcome. We're going to be talking about what it's going to take to sell your home.
Yeah, so, hello, welcome. I'm Chase. This is Jackie Scholerman.
Yeah.
We're here with the Scholerman Group, and thanks for joining us. We're excited to have you listen to us, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we hope that you're going to have a great July 4th.
Absolutely. So some topics that we are discussing as the overall theme is, what's the easiest way to sell my house? Or, what are some steps that I can take that's going to kind of smooth the process, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And so one of the first questions that comes up is, do I need to hire a realtor to sell my home? And I'm a realtor, so I'm going to answer first and say absolutely. But Jackie, I'm going to defer to you and let you answer that one.
Well, you're not required to have a realtor. However, we highly recommend to have a realtor. First of all, about 98% of the homes are sold through professional realtors.
Absolutely.
And those motivated buyers are out there with their realtor looking at the homes through different mediums such as MLS and other social platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very difficult for a motivated buyer who has to have a home. They're not going to sit out there and start looking for, which website they should go look for sale by owners.
Mm-hmm.
But the most important thing that the seller should be concerned about is that the realtors are buying and selling on a daily basis.
Right.
They know the market. They know all the rules and regulations and the laws pertaining to the real estate and process. Exactly. Mm-hmm. And the liabilities that they take away from the seller's shoulders and put it on the brokerage shoulder by advising the sellers of how to sell their home.
Absolutely, that makes sense.
And then, it's all about disclosures that the realtors help the sellers with. They also help with the marketing, which is the most important aspect of getting the seller's home sold. And our job as a marketer is to make sure that we advertise the seller's home.
Get as many eyeballs as possible. Right?
Absolutely. We want to just advertise it and market it to the entire world because I've sold homes from that I was representing the seller, that the buyer's agent came, the buyer never stepped into the house. The buyer agent came in, did the video of the inside of the house, the video of the neighborhood, and then they literally bought the house remotely without even sight unseen. Exactly. So our job is to market our seller's home to the entire world because we know that more eyeballs we get to the house, more showings we're going to have, and that showings can be buyers or even the realtors.
Right.
And more showings leads to more offers, and obviously more offers is the highest possible price. And that's what we are primarily hired for, to market our seller's home
and get the highest possible price on it.
Exactly. And then the next thing is really negotiation, because we're out there, we know exactly, we're putting offers, we're either buying or selling, so we know exactly what the market is dictating.
We're watching the trends.
Exactly.
Right?
So we know what the breadth of the market is.
Absolutely.
Is the market is upswing, or is it sort of softening and then maybe perhaps on a downswing? So based on all that information that we as a realtors are keeping our pulse on the market, we know what's going on, and we can advise our sellers with respect to we can negotiate the offer. And obviously our goal is to negotiate, if we're representing the buyer, to get the best possible price. But if we're representing the seller, most of the case is to get them the absolute highest possible price. And there are different techniques that we use in getting those negotiations done.
And as you said prior, we've been doing this for a long time. And so that experience creates that expertise in that negotiation. So doing this day in and day out for years on end, we have the experience and we know the process.
Right.
Whereas somebody who's maybe sold a home once or maybe never before and is going to enter the market and say, how do I sell my home? I personally would want to trust somebody that has the expertise, right?
Right.
And tell me and inform me on how to best do it. So that is another point there too.
Exactly. And what is really important when it comes to selling a home is to hire a professional realtor who has a track record and also knows the market,
Right.
knows knows the local market, knows all the stats, knows the parks and libraries and schools, the ratings and so
Kind of
forth.
like the amenities of the whole community as a whole, right?
Exactly. And, you know, it's not all about the highest possible price, because we as a seller's agent, we want to know really what is important to that seller, because for some sellers, maybe it's not all about the price, it's about privacy. They don't want anyone to know that they're selling their home. Or they want to do it on a low-key basis.
Or they want to sell their home and then have some time to find the next home.
Absolutely,
right?
Exactly. So maybe having a rent back, either short rent back, when I say short, I'm talking about anywhere from several days to perhaps even 60 days, or in some situations I've had 6 months to 12 months of rent back, depending on if it was a cash offer or a loan.
So if I can interrupt, it sounds like what you're saying is if you hire a realtor, these are some of the things they can negotiate for you, not just the price, but maybe a rent back scenario or some other thing. So what I'm picking up, Jackie, is that a realtor can benefit you in multiple ways.
Absolutely. And what I see over and over and over is that by hiring a realtor, they typically pay their own fee by multiple return on investment.
Right.
And as a solo, or let's say for sale by owner, you don't sell homes on a daily basis. You don't know what the rules and regulations are. You don't know disclosures. Of course, you know, some seller says, well, I'm going to go to my attorney to draft the paperwork, which is perfect. Of course, you know, we have to understand, is that attorney is a real estate attorney
or a divorce attorney, or are they
corporate attorney,
right,
or
exactly.
I mean, there are attorneys that they're specialists in different areas. It's almost like I'm going to go to doctor to have a surgery done. Well, is that surgeon is a heart surgeon, or is that a brain surgeon, or you know, what is their specialty? And again, attorneys are the same way. I mean, I totally have respect for all the attorneys, and I refer my clients to attorneys all the time. But the key is to have a qualified California real estate attorney who understands the contract.
Right.
But the issue is that, you know, the attorneys are really good in reading contracts and advising you.
They're not going to do. What are they not going to do for you?
Marketing.
And negotiation, right?
Well, they do negotiation to a certain degree, but the marketing is really where that's not their expertise or the area that they want to be. You know, of course, they can help you with disclosures. They can help you with the negotiation, review the contract, and so forth. But as I mentioned, 50% of the work, or maybe even more than that, is about marketing of your home.
Exactly.
To have that as many eyeballs as possible. Yeah, so the bottom line is no, you don't have to hire a realtor. However, I would highly recommend having a realtor, professional realtor who knows the market and is going to look after your interests, to remove that stress off your shoulder, remove all that liability off your shoulder, and also has a good process. Having a good process drives a good result.
I think you said it best. It really relieves the stress, because ultimately doing it yourself is going to be stressful because you've never done it. And so absolutely. So now that we say, okay, it's probably the best idea to hire a realtor. Now, okay, I've got in my head, I want to sell my house. I'm going to use a realtor. Now, what's the next step? I need to prepare my home for sale.
Yeah.
So what are 5 things that you would typically recommend to somebody who's looking to sell their house and essentially prepare it for the market?
Yeah. Or even the low cost.
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody wants a full-on renovation. What's the most expensive renovation I can do? Exactly. What's the most cost-effective ways to spruce up the home and get it excited from a buyer's perspective?
Right. The great question. And, you know, the very first thing I would say the low cost is power wash the exterior of the house. And also, which includes the windows and the screens and so forth. And typically we remove the window screens because we want the house to appear as light and bright as possible. We typically remove the screens and store them in the garage,
Right.
so the next buyer can bring them and put them back up if they want to, if they're in good condition. And then the next thing is absolutely curb appeal. As you know, usually the buyers make their decision. First of all, is through flipping through those photos
online, right?
And literally, it takes them like maybe 6 or 7 or 8 seconds to flip through the photos to decide if the photos are compelling or it really captures the emotion.
Do I want to go see this place?
And do I want to go see the house? And then, of course, then they drive to the property. And while they're driving to the property, they're going to obviously look at the neighborhood and so forth. But that first curb appeal is a first impression that for that buyer to decide whether or not they want to step into your home or they're going to cancel that showing right outside while they're inside the car.
Is that front yard, is that outside area, is it inviting to want people to have to come inside, right?
Exactly. So having the yard cleaned up, it doesn't have to be fully landscaped, but I would say as long as your lawn is lush green and it's nicely mowed, the trash is removed, the trees are somewhat is trimmed so it's not overgrown.
Right. No overgrown hedges or anything.
Exactly,
Maybe
because in the
sharpen it up.
photo you want for the buyer to see your house. You don't want to have overgrown.
Hiding behind something, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then, having a nice color front door that really catches that buyer's attention is really important. And then from there, of course, as you go through the curb appeal and you get into the front, is to get into the foyer. And you want to have a house that as soon as they step in, they see this nice light and bright and big volume of the space. And of course, the first thing people are going to notice is, are there any odors in the house? I have been in so many houses that either there's a pet odor or there's a food odor, or maybe the carpet is 50 years old and it has that smell of an old carpet. So getting rid of the odor is also highly recommended.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, they go from there, making sure that the inside and the outside is completely painted in a neutral colors, very inviting.
Okay.
And then they go into the kitchen. Typically, the kitchen, the bathrooms, the master bedroom are the most important aspects of the house. And, perhaps putting a very quick paint of the cabinets can do a marvelous thing with the way the kitchen would look like. Maybe put new appliances, depends on how old the appliances are. And then updating the kitchen and the bathroom to a certain degree.
Right.
And then, of course, from there, we go to make sure that all your lights are working and it's nice and light and bright. And then we go to the backyard. Again, the backyard would be similar to the front with the curb appeal, to have a nice, clean backyard, nice and grassy.
Where they can envision enjoying that
how
backyard,
they can
or
have
how
their
they can utilize
family having a barbecue in a backyard or family gathering. It doesn't have to be a big yard, but it has to be nice and clean cut.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say one last one, and if I tap it,
Staging.
oh, you got me. This might not be low cost. It depends, because it's a wide variety, and staging comes down to the size of the home, how many rooms. So there's many variables, but the point is that is absolutely something that you do want to do.
And of course, before you do the staging, you do declutter the home,
right,
and then have it ready for staging. It doesn't have to be full-fledged staging. You can do partial staging. Just maybe stage only the core area of the house where it's really important for the
like
buyers.
the living room, the kitchen area, the common areas.
Or the master bedroom suite, and then maybe the backyard patio or something like that. It doesn't have to be every single bedroom that needs to be staged. Of course, we highly recommend to have the whole house staged, including the backyard. But if the funds are not there, then we can do partial staging.
Right. And there is an interesting stat on, and why we bring up staging is because you typically see a larger return on your investment with the staging, right? So homes that are staged sell, 79% faster than those on the market that are not staged, and sell for 17% more or higher than those homes that were not staged. So you see a direct benefit right there as it's faster, and you see higher offers.
Yeah.
So it is something to consider. Again, the funds might not be there. It's case by case scenario. But again, having a realtor, those are things that you can talk about. All these different low cost improvements.
Right. And when I'm meeting with my sellers, I typically tell them before they even lift their finger, let me walk through the house and let them know what is really the most cost effective upgrades that we can do to the house, that we know for sure we're going to get several returns on the investment, because sometimes
we know what the buyers are looking for,
because
what
we know what the
they
buyers are looking.
expect in a
Yeah,
home.
exactly. We know what is really important to the buyers, but the seller, they're not in the market. They don't know, and they think that they may go on some areas that really the buyer may not even care about. And so we say, save that money. Let's put whatever the budget is, let's put them in the areas that we know is really important to the buyers. Yeah.
So just to recap, I heard some low-cost solutions to getting prepared is wash the house, spray power wash, clean the outside, some landscaping, some fresh coat of paint, decluttering for sure, staging.
Yeah.
And there's anything else?
And, get rid of the odor. If there's any kind of an old carpet odor, pet odor, or food or whatever, try to, or maybe just leave the windows open. And there are some filters that you can buy, and actually one of my clients that bought those filters, and it was amazing. You turn it on and it just gets rid of everything. But if the funds are not there, just open the window and get the natural.
When in doubt, ask your realtor. What should you do?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So we have gone over, should we hire a realtor? We've decided, yes, we're going to hire a realtor. Okay. So I need to prepare my home to market. These are some low cost things I can do.
Yeah.
Now, the question that I get from a lot of sellers is, okay, the home looks fantastic. We're going to open house and all these people are coming in this week and this is great. What happens if I sell it this weekend?
Right.
Where am I going to move to? How do I find my replacement home if they haven't purchased already?
Right.
So that is kind of a catch-22 that you typically get with sellers is, I would love to sell my home, but what happens if I sell it before I find my next home? And so that causes a lot of hesitation.
Yeah.
And so absolutely, if you have a realtor, they can walk you through and explain. There's a couple different things that you can do, right?
And it's a valid concern. I mean, I would be concerned myself if I sell my home and I don't know where I'm going to be.
You don't want to be homeless. If you have a family, I have 4 kids. I can't just pack them up in the car and just, right?
Exactly.
So you got to have a plan. So a realtor can help with that plan.
Yeah, exactly. So there are several options, but the most often we use the 2 process. One is either get a equity line on your current home, or we call it a bridge loan, and then that bridge loan basically takes the equity from your house, including the market value of your home, and then the lender gives you a loan, we call it bridge loan, and then we help you to go buy your next home. And then once you move into that house, you settle in, and then we turn around, come and get your home, your current home, prepared and put it on the market, and then pay off that bridge loan.
So the first case would be we would get a bridge loan and go find the home first.
Yeah.
Find that home, close on that home, or enter into contract on that home, and then we start going back to looking at selling the home.
Sell your current home, and then you pay off that bridge loan, and then of course, with the proceeds, and then you either pay it off or you just pay down toward that bridge loan that you got. So it depends on what is the difference between the 2, and it's your option. And there are some stipulation from the lender about that bridge loan. Once you sell your home, what do you need to do with the proceeds
there's
of
going to be certain criteria and processes to follow. So is there another option outside of a bridge loan?
Yeah, it is, and that is rent back. We use that all the time very effectively, and if the buyer is coming, of course, that would be part of the contingency of the seller from the buyer that, we will sell our home as long as contingent upon the buyer giving them a rent back.
Okay.
Of course, if there's a loan is involved, the lender, the buyer's lender would allow up to 60 days of a rent back.
Right.
Now, if there's a cash, there is no lender is involved.
There's
and
no
then
lender driving that, right?
The buyer can give as much of a rent back as needed. But we typically get that 60 days. In some instances, I had 6 months and a year because the buyers were cash and they were out of the area. They weren't planning to move in immediately. And so we managed to create a lease rent back between the buyer and the seller was very happy. And that's usually a situation where the kids need to finish the school.
There's something driving the reason, right?
Right,
So, and again, every buyer, every seller has different kind of motivations.
Right.
And working with a realtor might uncover those things.
Exactly.
Right?
Or even, the seller can say, okay, I will accept, rather than having a buyer contingency, then the seller has a contingency. Say,
Yeah, you never think
I
of that.
will accept your offer contingent upon me as a seller to go into escrow with another house that I'm planning to go into. So rather than having buyer contingency, we have seller contingency.
Never thought of
So
that.
those are the strategies that we craft based on what is the seller's need and what the seller's timing is.
What is most important to them?
Yes, exactly.
Right, and that's something here at the Scholeman Group we take much pride in. And so
that's why I said it's not all about the highest possible price for the sellers. There are so myriad of factors and requirements that the seller have that we really need to sit down and figure out really what is important to the seller, and then craft our strategies around how we can accomplish that and get them to their destination.
Absolutely. So if you are thinking of buying or selling in today's market, please reach out to us here at the Scholeman Group. And as we were just saying, we would love to set up a 15-minute strategy session to understand what is most important to you in selling your home. Is it how quickly can I get out? What's the highest possible price? Whatever it is, we'd love to sit down and strategize with you and then customize a game plan that suits your needs so that you can get into the real estate game. So if you are interested, give us a call at the Scholeman Group. Jackie Scholeman, Chase Poole. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Great.
Or 2 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks.
Okay. 2 weeks, yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Hope this was informative.